Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Dauphine Sloan. In case you don't know me, I teach international development here at Tulane. And it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Daniel Jean-Louis, who's from Haiti. He's our speaker tonight. In addition to being a professor of entrepreneurship and development at Quisqueya University, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right. Quisqueya, and Haiti State University. Daniel Jean-Louis is a social entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Bridge Capital. Bridge Capital is a private investment firm which is headquartered in Haiti and that connects investors with Haitian entrepreneurs and provides small loans to local businesses as well as various business and financial services. What I think is particularly interesting about Jean-Louis' work is that he not only takes the tools of poverty alleviation to another level, that of entrepreneurship and innovation in all areas of economic and human development, but he makes a point to associate the world of NGOs and nonprofits to his mission. It's quite original. As you know, Haiti has been dubbed the Republic of NGOs, and he likes to remind us of that. And it has unfortunately become a model of inefficiency, especially since the disastrous 2010 earthquake, which took hundreds of thousands of lives and also as many or more displaced people in the country. So thanks to Jean-Louis and other young innovators in Haiti, the country may be on its way to becoming actually a case study of successful collaboration between business, NGOs, nonprofits, private-public partnerships, and really to lift its citizens from poverty via social and business entrepreneurship, job creation, trade, and investment. Featured in the movie Poverty, Inc., which some of you might have seen, and a frequent public speaker in universities around the world, we're honored to have Daniel Jean-Louis come and speak to us tonight. So please join me in welcoming Daniel Jean-Louis this evening.
Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing today? A little tired? So how many of you guys would still come if you didn't get extra credit? Okay. Well, I guess this is a good thing. I'm very happy to be here. And I always wanted to come to New Orleans. And then this is a great opportunity, not only for me to come and see the similarity between the French-style culture that exists between this nice place and Haiti, but also to be part of this great university. And I'm very happy about it. So thank you for coming. A lot of you guys have a lot of different classes about entrepreneurship and aid and the developing world. And a lot of you guys have, your parents have sponsored children in Haiti or different parts of the world. How many of you guys have parents who have sponsored children anywhere? Okay, that's a good thing too. So we are here to share different series of realities, and also I'm hoping that we can interact a little bit. You can ask questions and whatever you have experienced, and it will be a good thing for us to talk a little bit about this. So today what we're going to do is to compare two different countries. Can you guys hear me? Okay, we're going to compare two different countries, two different realities, two different decisions, and we're going to compare what are the different actions that have been taken for those two different countries, what are the results, why, and what can we learn from it. Foreign aid, in 2010, for instance, there was the Associated Press mentioned that just for the year of 2010, when the earthquake struck in Haiti, the amount of foreign aid that has come from the developing countries to the developing world is about $130 billion. $130 billion. And out of that money, only 1% of that made it to the intended target. Just 1%. After the earthquake in Haiti in 2010, the world was so generous. And personally, I had never seen that kind of generosity. Everybody was donating money to help Haiti. Everybody. And there's cases of children who had donated money to help earthquake victims in Haiti. It was amazing. It was an outpouring of love, openness, and people who wanted to help support the cause of Haiti. Sadly, the Associated Press reported that of all that money, only 1.6% of it was spent down there. So what happened to the rest of the money? I don't know if you guys heard in the press a story about the American Red Cross, who raised $500 million, and out of that $500 million, they only built 6 houses. True story. There was a congressional hearing about it, and at the end of the day, the case went silent. I could go on and on all night about those facts, about different hundred billions of dollars that has been transferred from developing countries to poor countries, and then we could go on and on and on. A couple of years ago, the wealthy countries met in Cancun. They talked about $100 billion a year to help fight climate change in the developing world. So the amount of resources, money, that is discussed to be donated from the wealthy countries to the developing world is immense. It's a lot of it. Sadly, though, it seems the more money that is being pledged and donated, the more these countries stay poor. But the reality is, in the history of the world, you can look at any given time, there has not been recorded a case of any country that has gotten better by simply receiving money. Just collecting donation has never worked. And then we can go in different countries that during the course of their life, and then we can see, look, this country has not gotten any better because they were receiving money. So remember I started talking about 2 different countries, Dominican Republic and Haiti. Okay? If you look at the industrial association in Haiti, there's just less than 100 businesses that exist in that association. In the Dominican Republic, it's more than 1,000 of businesses. In Haiti, again, the amount of NGOs goes up more than 10,000, okay? And the amount of businesses, NGOs existed in the Dominican Republic, very few. So what it contrasts reality, where in the Dominican Republic, there are more recorded businesses than NGOs, and in Haiti is the total opposite. I want to start by showing you guys the contrast. So 2 different realities, 2 different cultures, 2 different countries. What are the steps, the actions, the decisions? What are the results, and why? At the same time, when we talk about foreign aid versus foreign direct investment, in the Dominican Republic, foreign direct investment in the 2017 amounted to more than $2.5 billion. And in Haiti, it's only $104 billion. So you can start seeing one country is getting a lot of foreign direct investment, and one is getting a lot of aid. So we talked about after the earthquake, there was about $12 billion donated to Haiti. Of course, there's a small part of that made it there. But on the other hand, our neighbor, the Dominican Republic, at the same time, we're getting more foreign direct investment than aid. And by the way, just last year, their foreign direct investment went up to 2.9%, 9.2% from 2015, which is very good. While Haiti is collecting more donation, Dominican Republic is collecting more foreign direct investment. As a matter of fact, this is not even different from what's going on around the world among the developing countries. The amount of foreign direct investment around the globe has increased 7% in 2017. A lot of the countries, they seem to understand and believe that, okay, foreign direct investment, development, and progress, economic progress, is linked to economic investment, to foreign direct investment. So Haiti is collecting a lot of donations, okay? We have a lot of different foundations, private foundations, multilateral organizations, orphanages, and everybody is raising money to help children, building schools. At the same time, everybody else, other countries are trying to get more investment. But let's see what the reality is. Haiti, right now, the GDP per capita, the total GDP for the country, is at about $8.4 billion, while the Dominican Republic, that's having more foreign direct investment, goes up to $37 billion. You can start seeing the striking differences by those two choices. One goes towards foreign aid, one goes towards private investment, and then you can immediately seeing the results. The current budget of the Republic of Haiti is about $2 billion, where in the Dominican Republic, they just voted a budget that is $17 billion. Where does money come from in the Dominican Republic? A national budget is basically the amount of taxes collected from custom, payroll taxes, et cetera, et cetera. So why does the Dominican Republic has $17 billion of a budget when the country of Haiti only has $2 billion? You can guess. Definitely because the Dominican Republic has more economic activities that are generated by more business presence there. So there are more people that are productive, more people that are paying taxes. And for instance, Haiti's industrial production growth grew by 0.5% the last year. In the Dominican Republic, 7%. Haiti's inflation, you will see that, is about 14%. In the Dominican Republic, it's about 1.6%. So basically, because of lack of economic activities and lack of purchasing power, okay, so the Dominican Republic has a better climate, more businesses, more opportunities, and people are living better. So something that cost you $100 in Haiti last year will cost you $114. And in the Dominican Republic, something that costs you $100 will cost you $106, $101.6. So inflation adjusted. So you can start seeing what does it mean to have more private investment, more businesses, and how that affects people's jobs, purchasing power, and standard of living. The Dominican Republic unemployment is about 13%, less than Spain, in developed countries. In Haiti, it's more than 40%. And why is it in the Dominican Republic that the unemployment rate is way below? As a matter of fact, folks are going from Haiti to the Dominican Republic to find employment. Why? So many different questions. And at the same time, you will see, remember we started the conversation telling you that Dominican Republic was receiving more foreign direct investment, as a result has more enterprises, more businesses, when Haiti was receiving more aid, okay, less enterprises. As a result, the GDP per capita in Haiti has grown less than 1%, in the last 5 to 10 years, whereas in the Dominican Republic, the GDP per capita has grown more than 5% on average. It's the highest growing GDP per capita in all Latin America. It's amazing. Why do they make those choices? Why then the Dominican Republic chose to do businesses where Haiti chose to receive more donations? You guys may not remember, or you may not even know this, but after the Hurricane Hazel, I was not born back then, and a lot of you guys were not. I want to believe all of you were not. Both sides of the islands, and you should know also, for those of you who don't know, Haiti share an island with the Dominican Republic. So the western side of it is Haiti, and the eastern side is the Dominican Republic. So both islands, both countries, just one island, both countries were hit by the hurricane. What happened is at that very moment, and it's very critical into the economic development pattern of those two countries, what happened in that very moment is the Dominican Republic, after receiving short amount of aid, turned towards investment and businesses. At the same moment, Haiti let more NGOs come in, and the first NGO that came in around that time was the Red Cross. Remember the Red Cross? We just talked about it. So since then, the Dominican Republic has made it deliberate on purpose, so they understand what is the role of business in economic development in their country, okay? Then what do they need to do to make that more of a priority and to get more businesses there? So the Dominican Republic, they organize their business sector, invest a lot of infrastructure, and if you go there, you will immediately see they have better roads, they have better social programs, bridges, and a lot of different things that harness opportunities for businesses to grow there. And you will see immediately on the other side that it is not the same thing, that we have a lack of infrastructure, we have a lack of reliable power, or just the basic economic environment, the basic macro condition is not there for businesses to grow. It's not even just that, okay? When you talk about macro condition, the environment, the Dominican Republic, because they understand what the role of entrepreneurship in businesses is, they just don't invest in infrastructure, but they found a way to fix their political problem. So the transition of power in the Dominican Republic is very peaceful. So from one president to another, from one parliament to another, with as minimal violence as possible. I'm not saying there's no violence, but they have seemed to take control and make that a solution to solve that problem. Well, in Haiti, it's the total opposite. Even right now, we're still struggling to transition power. Just a few years ago, we spent a whole year trying to put a president in power. A whole year. And spent $150 million to do just that election. Same thing for corruption. Remember, again, we talk about two different countries, two different strategies, two different realities, two different results. Again, as what has to do with corruption. just last year, there was a march in the Dominican Republic against corruption. So right now, the average Dominican person in the Dominican Republic is making a statement because they refuse to let corruption plague their countries. In Haiti, we are one of the lowest rated countries in terms of corruption perception. So, why then, between those two countries, what happened with the leadership? Why the Dominican Republic chose that path and get that result, and Haiti has gotten that, that kind of opposite results? Well, I should tell you that this problem is not even new, because a lot of different folks are looking at Haiti and say, well, there's nothing there, okay? There's no infrastructure, the political situation is unstable, what can we do, okay? And they decided, because there's no hope, we're just gonna send money. We're just gonna help people solve their short-term problems. After the earthquake, we have done a lot of different work. Basically, after we realized that most of the money that was being donated to Haiti was not even spent there, was not helping businesses and job creation, we started a movement called the 100,000 Job Coalition Movement. This movement was basically there to encourage people to bring together the NGO community that has the most amount of resources. We're talking about the NGO community that has around $10 billion at that time, when the government only had $2 billion. So we bring them together to see what is it the problem that, what's the reason why you guys are not supporting businesses there? So we started a platform called Buy Haitian, Restore Haiti that was designed to support the 100,000 job movement that was supposed to bring together the NGO communities and the businesses communities for them to do more transactions. When we started to question the NGOs, one thing they say that was the reason why they couldn't do more transactions in Haiti is because they couldn't find enough products and services there, okay? I personally interviewed one NGO executive, and Haiti used to make 80% of the rice it needs and export 20%. Now we are importing 80% of the rice we need, and we make 20%. The same rice industry, I approach one NGO person and say, why is it that you guys collected a lot of money for Haiti? Why is it that you are bringing money, rice from Vietnam to be donated for Haitians? And she said simply that the reason is because when she buys it from Vietnam, she can feed more children. That's her prime reason. So the problem she had was because the Haitian price was a little bit more expensive. But my question back to her was, why do you think the rice was more expensive? Why do you think the case? She said, I don't know. Well, that's very sad. Because a lot of different organizations, the ones that are orphanages, they feed a lot of children every day. They have to put clothes on those children. They have to supply all kinds of needs for those children, and a lot of them are bringing all of those things from outside and bring them into the country. So what happened? The very few businesses there, they find them competing with free donated stuff from outside of the country. And we started to think that in a developing country, as we can see in the case of Dominican Republic, the more businesses they have, the more economic prosperity they make. And in Haiti, the very few businesses we have remained have to compete with free donated stuff that comes from the Dominican, that's from outside of the world, purchased by money donated by goods of good heart, folks of good hearts. So that was the first questions that we identified. The first aspect we identified, the NGO world were not purchasing enough from the Haitian businesses because they felt the price was too expensive. The second thing we identify is not because the prices were too expensive, but they felt like the quality and the quantity were not there. When they needed to buy a lot of items, they couldn't find it. And as a result, they were forced to buy it elsewhere. And not only that, the third point why they were not buying more from Haitian businesses to support those businesses so they can create jobs was communication. And they said, when we try to communicate with those businesses, with those leaders, we get nothing back. Nobody talked to us. And the last reason was because they felt like the delivery system didn't exist. So there's a problem. So we have a country that is supposed to grow with economic activities. And on the other hand, we have all the NGOs that has the most money, but we're not supporting those businesses. And I can tell you what happened as a result of that. We identified so many different companies that went out of business because of that. And in my book, From Aid to Trade, we opened the book with a case study, a soap company that has been in Haiti for generations, that existed in Haiti for generations. And when the cholera outbreak started in Haiti, as a result of United Nations negligence there, the UN, the United Nations, has brought over $50 million worth of soap and hygiene kits to fight the cholera, and within a few months, that company went out of business. A company that existed for generations, and hundreds of people got laid off, lost their jobs because of that. And there's other examples of a big hospital that had just started. Big hospital, brand new. And when, after the earthquake, a lot of foreign doctors were coming in to provide health care for folks in need. And they forgot this hospital was there. And they started their own tent, and nobody was going to that hospital, and they went out of business. Right now, this hospital is collecting dust. So many different people lost their jobs. Another example again, I know a backpack maker who hired many different people. When the NGOs who work with education bring in free backpack into the country, after a while, that backpack company went out of business. And there's another example again about a hand sanitizer company. When the NGOs were bringing free hand sanitizers into the country, that company had to stop making hand sanitizers and therefore had to fire all of the people who worked in that line of production. So, but who can compete with free? Imagine that. You own a business around the school, and then you're selling, you hired 10 people, and then for some reason the governor decided he will provide exact service for free to all of your guests, all of your customers. Imagine what would happen. Nobody would come and buy your stuff because they can get it for free. That's the exact same situation that happened. So when the NGOs were providing school supplies, hygiene services, all kinds of different products for free, at the same time you see all those businesses are starting to go out of business, and then you see more and more people are looking for work. It was very emotional to see that, because you think, but you are here to help. This is just like somebody who says, who look at you in the eyes and hit you in your stomach and say, I love you. And then you're hurt, you're crying. He says, no, 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 don't cry. Remember I told you I love you? Those NGOs, all of them, despite that, despite the loss of job, despite the loss of business opportunities, they keep reiterating, we love you, Haiti. Remember, I bring all those free stuff, I'm going to destroy businesses, but I love you. And what we have found out is absolutely some of it is true. A lot of these people in the NGO community, they had no idea of the consequences they had on the economic activities in Haiti. And I surveyed a lot of them, and they say, well, what do you want me to do, Daniel? It's more expensive here. It's easier for me to get it there. And it's just not possible here. So what we have found out its work is, little by little, we are interviewing more people. And the exact, we have some case studies where some people acted differently. Okay? That's why we started the movement by Haitian Restore Haiti, to educate people that, look, whatever you're doing, whatever your strategy is, you can do whatever you intend to do, at the same time, help the economy at large. And you will not believe what we have found out as a result. They listen. Now, seriously, I started to be very pessimistic, thinking that, look, these people are here to harm us. They are here to kill the country. Nobody's going to find a job. But little by little, you talk to them, and you find out a lot of them actually are willing to listen. And the idea of partnership starting to develop. So this is when we start to pose the questions. Look, you guys talk about 4 different problems why you're not supporting businesses. Okay? We talk about price, quality, quantity, delivery time, and communication. How can we solve those problems? So this is when we have the idea of, let's do some case studies. And those case studies where some companies have developed a partnership with an NGO, and as a result of that, have done hundreds of different transactions over the years, and as a result, more and more people were able to find jobs. That is a completely opposite attitude and behavior and actions than when they were ignoring the economic system there. So clearly, the NGOs are there to stay, and the businesses are needed. What we really need is jobs. We need more people. We need the unemployment to go down less than 20%. But for us to get that, we need investors. We need private capital that comes and pursue opportunities and create businesses for people to get hired. But we don't have enough of that. Remember last year we only had $104 million of foreign direct investment, and we had billions of dollars in aid. So the idea we started to develop into case studies to show people, look, if you truly want to help Haiti, you can do exactly what you want to do, but the first thing you have to do is to buy local. It's the first solution we propose. You have to buy local. If you want an orphanage, if you want to feed those children, why don't you buy the rice in Haiti? Why don't you buy the clothes in Haiti? Why don't you buy the school supplies? I can tell you stories about NGOs collecting a lot of money and go to Haiti and does not do one single transactions in years with any businesses, no taxes paid, nothing. So the first solution is for the NGOs to buy as much as they can into the country. When they do that, they provide opportunities for the businesses to grow, for more businesses to be created, to grow, for more jobs to be created. The first thing that we advise them to do, not only they have to buy more into the country, but they have to support a network of individuals who are sharing information. Okay? It's hard to buy things in bulk, in large quantity, but there are some people who are doing it. How about we start getting together and share this knowledge, share these practices? Where have you found this? What route have you taken? Did you get it wholesale? How did you get out of talking to all these business people to see how you can have a better partnership with them? The third thing that we advocate for them to do, we have seen work and have produced some results, is help connect investment opportunity in Haiti. $104 million is not even close to compare of what we need for us to have a vibrant economic system. Remember, the Dominican Republic, they have 2.5 billion. We only have 104 million for the same population size, roughly. So you can see why the Dominican Republic has great results and why we have mediocre performances. So you can see immediately that the economic performances in Haiti has a lot to do with competition from the government, from the NGO community, and lack of support from the government. Okay? But here's the danger. When I go and I explain all these facts and realities, people, they change their behavior. They change the way they think. The danger is to see NGO as evil. I've talked to a lot of people, and actually the discussion about the NGOs is quite divided. On one hand, you have a lot of people who really want to support the NGOs, aid, and we have one is Bono. They make songs about it. They make movies about it. How are we going to solve the little Africans' problems? We're going to have a lot of ships, fill them up with rice and food, and take them there. Problem is, they make food there, may not make enough of it. So on the other side, you see people who say, we really hate NGOs, and aid doesn't do anything for us. And I have some friends of mine who don't even like me anymore. How can you be from Haiti and you talk like this about aid? But the problem is, as ineffective as it is, the aid is actually solving a problem. Remember we talked about $210 billion transferred in 2010. 1% made it to the developing world. But that 1% is actually solving a problem, but it is a short-term problem. So why? Because the NGOs were never intended to solve long-term problems. So those people, this division, you know, on one side people really, really hate aid, and on the other side people really, really like aid. Just in the middle, if we could focus on the opportunities, how can we turn the aid towards supporting business initiatives so we can get the result we need? It's exactly like you have a dead batteries in the car, and you need other batteries, another battery with a jumper, another car, to jump it so it can start. It's the same situation. We need economic activities, And how we get this is by private investment, but we don't have private investment. We have aid. So basically, that's the situation. And when they see the NGOs as evil, that means that we are not channeling this aid towards the right path. Or could we? That's a whole new question. Because so far, a lot of NGOs have listened to what we have proposed as solution to buy things in Haiti, to help create an environment where more businesses can be starting, to share best practices. But a lot of other NGOs, they still don't believe in talking about this at all. So that's the first danger, to consider NGOs as evil, because they are solving a short-term problem. Talking about the AIDS epidemics, even in Haiti, the prevalence rate is less than 2% now. It's the work of a lot of NGOs who have taken that as an initiative to help solve that problem. Education. There's a lot of different schools that are created, children that are sponsored. Even myself, I'm a part of a sponsoring program where underprivileged kids get access to basic education. Talking about Liberia, a few years ago, what happened with the Ebola epidemics. The NGOs got together with some foreign government and they actually contained that problem. So what are we supposed to believe then? The NGOs are doing some good, but at the same time, they're wasting a lot of resources. And this is where the conversation gets interesting, because this is when we are trying to harness those resources into making more constructive things. So that's the danger, because foreign aid was never intended to be a plan of economic development. It's a tool to help solve short-term need. So the biggest danger is for folks to understand and believe that when there's donation, those donations will help long-term economic development of a country. And it's very dangerous, because you see a lot of different countries that absolutely rely on the aid. Give us more aid, and when you ask, where is your economic development plan, they don't have any. It's just a tool to solve short-term problem. It cannot replace the need for long-term economic development of a country. And we have seen the result. Countries that rely heavily on aid for a long period of time, they have the worst economic performances, whereas the countries that have less aid, more private investment, they have the best economic performances. It's just a fact today. The second danger is for NGOs to create their own measurement of impact. I see a lot of NGOs on the websites that say, we have succeeded. We have met all of our economic indicators. But who set up those indicators in the first place? So it's a problem, because you can't be both doing this and also evaluate the success of this. And I have seen this in many different countries, and even in Haiti a lot, where these NGOs, they publish these fancy charts and expensive research and studies to say, back to the donor, mostly, so they collect more money, we have succeeded. But succeeded in what way? So, technically, an NGO cannot measure its own impact and leave behind the macroeconomic indicators of the country as a whole. That's very dangerous. If you're there and you work for 50 years, and the country has gotten worse, the unemployment is worse, the level of education has gotten worse, the child mortality rate, if you're an NGO working as a health organization, and then the overall economic problem of mortality of children has gone up, what have you really done so far? So, which is really an indicator of how can you measure your own work. So that's a very big danger. Because the need is there in the developing world where a lot of the governments don't have sufficient resources to meet those needs. And you have a lot of different kids, and there's tons of different stories of people suffering because of lack of resources that the government just simply don't have. So, that's the problematic of aid today, okay? A lot of folks are giving money, government are giving money, net foreign donation of those countries are increasing to the developing world, but at the same time, we need more private investment. Here's a few facts about private investment. While countries like Haiti are collecting more donations, okay, sometimes we're even asking for it, more than 1 billion people have been risen out of poverty globally. The Millennial Development Goals by the United Nations were met even before they put out their last report about it. Because countries like China and India had their unemployment goes down significantly. And all of that because of private investment. 20% of Brazilian has been risen out of poverty. It's because there's a lot more businesses that have been started in countries like that. The OECD countries, for instance, the foreign direct investment has increased by 6%. The United Kingdom, last year in the last quarter, has been indicated to be the largest recipient of foreign direct investment. The European Union countries, for instance, 22% increase in foreign direct investment. While the developing world is talking about aid, about donation, the developed countries are focused on investment, private investment. Brazil, we just talked about it. Last year, the foreign direct investment was increased by 5.7%. Mexico, there was an increase of 7.9% in their private investment into their economy. Colombia, 8% growth into their foreign direct investment. So, what a contrast. You know what I call this? I call it a diversion. I call it a diversion. At some point in time, it's not even nice anymore. To think, if those facts are so striking that for investment give a different result while foreign aid remain very poor performances, why is it then those countries are not focusing more on investment, more on different businesses? How can we train our kids to be better citizens so we can have a better generation for tomorrow? And you can see immediately countries like Kenya, even Rwanda today, it's countries that has ravaged by 10 years of civil war, even Guatemala, that has different problems over the years, civil war and poverty, And they're doing so much better now because they have established a climate where more investment could come into those countries. So today, while you think about investment, you're the next generation, you're the next senator, and maybe there's a president here. We don't know. There's an ambassador. When you think about Haiti, about the developing world, when you're in charge, I would like you to think differently. That countries like Haiti need private investment, not just aid. But because we have the aid today, we have to find a way to transform that into economic opportunities for what we have today. So those are the facts that I wanted to share with you today. And this is what reflects the younger generation of Haitians who are actively pursuing opportunities, who are looking for ways to start businesses, to attract. This is why I started Bridge Capital, so we can attract more foreign investors into the country and start businesses. And that's the story we're trying to share today. And it's not easy. It's a story we're going against the establishment of thinking, what a helpless country, let's send more stuff, to what a country full of opportunity. And it's not an easy thing. And I would like you to start thinking that way. While you become in charge, while you guys are students, while you travel to Haiti, to a lot of different developing world countries, to start thinking, what are the opportunities here? What kind of industry, what kind of markets, how am my activities and action contributing or hurting the local economy? This is how I'm ending this dialogue. So I'm planting that seed in your mind with all these facts, with all these realities, undeniable, hoping that you guys will become ambassadors for business activities, for economic progress, for more foreign direct investment to grow in Haiti and in all of the developing countries. Thank you. I hope you guys didn't fall asleep. That was a lot of numbers there. It scares me too.
Thank you, Daniel. This is great. Now we have time for questions, so we'd love to take questions from the floor. I see one over there.
Hi. Thank you for this lecture. It was very interesting. As you were conducting these interviews with NGOs, I was wondering kind of like the perception that you were getting from those that were not listening or did not believe that the issue that you were presenting with them existed. And oftentimes it's said that if you're a good nonprofit or you're a good NGO, you are trying to work yourself out of a job. And do you think that may be part of the problem, is that they perceive that their job will be threatened if they kind of believe what you're saying?
Oh, definitely. I believe that. Yes. Yes, so. I think it's the combining factors. The first thing is because the donor, people who give them money sometimes give them to do a specific thing, okay? So, and they're trying to obey to that. They're trying to please their donor. Because if they don't do that, then they are not gonna get more funding. Let me tell you a story. I was traveling with a friend of mine who does foreign aid to tell you how those folks are bound to respect their donor's perspective. And then we pull into this very poor village, and then we saw a child, very dirty, playing in the mud. And he said, what a great picture I'm going to take. Because he believes with that picture, he will attract more. At some point in time, this become an addiction. It become an addiction. The more you think you're doing, the more you want to do it. And so with that in mind, so they do everything in their power to please the donor so they can get more money. And at the same time, I feel like there's a question of timing too, okay? Because a lot of it's a very early phase. A lot of this discussion is very new, for instance. Several years ago, there was not a constructive literature about aid. There was not a solution. I read a lot of books about foreign aid and their unintended consequences. None of them really presented a practical solution to it. So it's going to take some time to the donors to be educated and to the aid community as well to become more intentional about this, or to be convinced, or also to find a new way of making that, of doing that. So technically, I think this is a combination of factors. And what we started to do is, for instance, the book that I wrote, okay, I go in all those different countries and talk to a lot of different people about what can you do, what kind of behavior can you change, what can you, different solutions you can adapt to do what you're doing without harming the economy at large. So that's a very new debate, and I feel like it's going to take some time still for this message to really sink in and for people to change their behavior. Go ahead.
You talked about how the individual NGOs can be left accountable to examine their impact, to conduct monitoring and evaluation. Do you think there's a role for the Haitian government in regulating the NGO sector and implementing countrywide policies to monitor NGOs?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think we talk about there's no country that can develop without business, a vibrant business sector, without an economy, markets, but there's no country that can develop without a plan. That's what I said earlier in the danger, because it's toxic even to think that you can develop a country without an economic plan. So you see with countries like Rwanda, that's exactly what they did. They stepped in and regulated a little bit more, a lot more actually, the NGO community, and turned the attention toward business development. So that's another problem in Haiti, because the government lacks resources and there's lack of structure, and also because the government is not organized enough to regulate the sector, so they left by themselves doing whatever they want, whenever they want it, spending how much money they need. As a matter of fact, there need to be a structure, there need to be regulation, there need to be standard. There need to be standard by which an organization, an NGO, is doing something at one level, but has to be intentional about supporting the local markets into that country. And I think without that, we'll go back to the same problem of foreign aid is ineffective and nobody understands why. So to answer your question directly, I think absolutely. The government should step in to regulate the NGO community and for them to be held accountable for the amount of money that they're raising everywhere to help little children and people in those developing worlds. Go ahead.
Sort of piggyback on what he said. I'm interested to know, and I don't know much about aid and sort of the international climate for trade, but I'm sort of interested to know, has there been precedent for a governing agency that sort of overviews NGOs globally or regionally? Has that precedent been set before, or is that a conversation that's ever been had? And then I'm interested in your viewpoint of, this is a second segment of the question, with Haiti's sort of turbulent history politically, how do you foresee sort of having stability within the NGO communities when there's been really difficulty in sort of just passing power for, I guess over the past 15 years? I just want to see what your viewpoint is on those 2 points.
Here's one thing that I want to bring to your attention. When I say that NGOs, they need to support the local economy, we are really trying to salvage the role of the NGO. An NGO is supposed to solve a problem in time and done, finished. As a matter of fact, that's what their definition is, to run themselves out of a job. So ideally, what is really, really ideal is for citizens in those countries to have enough jobs, so they have enough resources to solve their own problem with government that can help them. But because this doesn't exist, and because the NGOs are there, the opportunity, of course, is too high to just have them leave, so we salvage their role into supporting those businesses. And I think that with that in mind, with this realization and understanding, I think that I think I kind of forget what the question was. What was the first question?
Just to see if there's I guess maybe I don't even understand the full NGO, but my understanding of NGOs is that they've been in Haiti for a really long time and they've sort of been there. So is there a precedent, if they're going to stay there for a long time, to have a governing agent, or whether it's regionally, and not necessarily that's a governance, not necessarily with government,
in the sense, right, yeah.
Having a central group of people that determine what monies come, where they go, and holding people accountable for where the trace of monies go. That's the first part. And then secondly, what you think, if government starts to control or sort of have an input on what the NGOs can do, how does that play out in Haiti, where economic stability is really not, it's not given?
Personally, I've done a lot of different research, and that's why we published this book. It took 4.5 years to do the research. I have not seen a very organized, intentional governing body of NGO community. What we have seen, for instance, in Haiti, is sporadic organizations of NGOs. For instance, after the earthquake, there was a committee that had President Bill Clinton, the Haitian Prime Minister, that existed to oversee how they would spend their money. So it was very temporary, and at some point in time, it dismantled. And I think different parts in history, I have seen that as a very short-term, short-lived entity that exists at a specific time. But in terms of a global entity like the United Nations exists, I have not seen that. And quite frankly, I think to go over that way would deter, would increase the real focus. Our job is not to make NGOs so much better that they replace the economic framework, but our job is to make sure that while they do what they're doing, there's an economic activities that are taking place here so they can become independent. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, because once you start getting a governing body, then it becomes an institution. Then something that is there to stay for a short period of time, then it becomes, it needs a president or a governor. And then it's develop its own sets of values, and I think it would be very dangerous to go down that path. I think so. And in Haiti, for instance, because of instability, we have not been able to find ways to properly benefit from the aid community. And to be quite honest with you, it's also because we are unstable that we need so much aid to begin with. So, and you will see also that aid is directly related, positively related to trouble. Really. Look at all the troubled countries, they also have more aid. Look at all the stable countries, they have less aid. So basically, I feel like a lot of the countries are understanding by themselves, like Bangladesh, for instance, who had agricultural problem, had a lot of different aid organizations. Over the years, they're transitioning away from the aid more towards a productive economy. Same thing for Kenya. Same thing for Rwanda, countries in Africa that has a lot of different economic problems. Now they're getting so much better without having to bring more aid or more structure to the aid community. They just have found a way to refocus their attention and resources toward real economic development. And I think that's something that is very important, because we don't want to take the real focus away from what's important.
Yeah, in terms of the governing body, what do you think? Wouldn't we see UCA ONG, Unité de coordination des activités des ONG, as one such governing body, and CFE also, those two institutions that are that have been put in place by the government. UCA ONG is part of the Ministry
of Planning.
Ministry of Planification, and that's what they do. What do you think? Isn't it like, and this is what that we are?
No, UCA ONG is supposed to be a standardized organization where it's a coordination. That's basically what it is, and I met with a lot of different people there, and it's supposed to be a coordination of the aid in Haiti. So basically they're supposed to set up a log of telling you what organization is doing that, where, and when. That's basically what it's supposed to be doing. But in terms of a governing body, that when you talk about the governing body, you're talking about setting a vision, raising resources, having authority over different NGOs, and punishments. And the UCA ONG is not doing that quite yet in Haiti. Although recently they have published a list of NGOs that got their license revoked. But, you know, we're still talking about the aid system, poorly developed resources, and people are still thinking, you know, what is really the role of that entity within the ministry? But, you know, at least there's something there. But to talk about different resources that needs to go into that to make it effective is a completely different story. And CFE is the role of CFE is really to attract investment into the country. So they do a lot of different conferences and a lot of videos to promote Haiti's industries and markets. So this is basically what they're doing. We have two different questions. I don't know if we have time. Two more questions. Go ahead, and after that.
My question was based off of what Haiti had to trade with the world market. You mentioned the countries advancing in the Caribbean and South America, like Guatemala or Colombia.
Yeah.
And Guatemala, they have a lot of bananas that they trade, for instance.
Absolutely.
And I'm aware that the land in Haiti is, like, ever since after post-colonialism, it was overworked. So what would Haiti want to trade with the world market that wouldn't compete with what the aid is providing to the country?
Yeah, I think according to CFE, there's 5 different key industries into the country right now. Manufacturing, about more than 80% of our export is in the garment industry. So you should know about a few years ago, the United States has granted a privilege for the garment factories to be able to export tax-free into the U.S., however much they can make with no tax and tariff. So basically what it is a lot of companies from South Korea and from Taiwan are coming in and set up shop and export those things into the United States. So manufacturing, agriculture, today 25% of the GDP of the country is from agricultural organization, businesses. Although it's a country where 70% of the land is mountain. Okay? Back when agriculture was the prime development strategy of the country, there was not that many people. It's a few 100,000. And today there's about 11 million of people. And CFE also talk about not just manufacturing and agriculture, but they talk about tourism. Every year, there's 100,000 more people who visit Haiti. They're not traditional tourists, you know? They're not traditional tourists that come to enjoy, although there's some of that recently from improvement of some of our resorts, there's tourists that come from Europe, from Canada, to come and consume a nice, luxurious package there that exists today. But the majority of people who go visit Haiti are not the traditional tourists. They are more like ethnical travelers, you know, churches that send group over there, schools that go to the different things. But nonetheless, it's a great opportunity because there's 100,000 more each year that goes on for the last 3 years. They talk also about telecommunication, technology, but to be honest with you, all those sectors, if they have no investment to make them productive, they're just going to be sectors. And with $104 million of foreign direct investment that goes into the country, there's not much progress that will be made towards that. So basically, so this is just the reality of it. You know, those are some of the sectors that are identified could potentially yield some good economic advancement for the country. But at the same time, the challenges are the lack of investment, the lack of political stability, the lack of intentionality to fight corruption. You're talking about different government officials getting indicted or every now and then about corruption. Very recently, there was a minister that got fired because of that. So this is not helping. Okay? So basically, I think that to overcome this problem, okay, a rebranding is necessary. And also a rebranding is necessary, but also to bring new reality, new measures, new government reinforcement of those realities is not going to get us the results. Thank you.
You kind of already touched on this a little bit, but something I noticed is that the Dominican Republic has become a pretty big force in like the tourism industry. And I was just wondering what your thoughts are on developing countries becoming like tourism hotspots and the effect it has on these countries, and also if this is something that you would want for Haiti.
Oh, definitely. There's 3.5 million tourists in the Dominican Republic that goes and consume from agricultural products to arts to some of them are doing illegal stuff, but let's not talk about that. So they consume all kinds of stuff. When you have more tourists, and we're talking about sometimes there's a lot of studies that and myself, I'm studying 30 different countries right now to prove about my economic development theory, opportunity-based economic development. So I studied 30 different countries to test their relevancy of an industry like tourists. What does it have to do? The development of that industry, what does it have to do with the development of the country? We found no significance for the tourism. And we're further studying that sometimes there may not be any significance in the exact industry, but some complementary industries. For instance, constructions. If you have more tourists, you need a lot of more hotels. To have more hotels, you need more different, construction services, construction supplies. You need wood making guys. You need electricity plumbers. You need water services. So sometimes there's a spillover. There's a spillover between the different industries that are just. It's hard to measure the effect, but nonetheless, it's a tremendous opportunity for countries like Haiti. I don't think that every country can attract the same kind of tourists. I don't think so, because the way the countries are branding themselves, their realities. For instance, Haiti, we attract more ethnical tourists, like I just mentioned. The churches, those are not tourists, but they're visitors. They spend money. So they make transactions in those countries. And you can notice, too, the difference between the amount of people traveling to visit the Dominican Republic versus Haiti. However, let's not forget that the classical problems caused by a huge increased amount of transaction made into a place all of a sudden. It caused more inflation. So the more you have people consuming a product, the more it has tendency to grow. So the government has to, for instance, the airport in Haiti is literally too small. Okay? There was a whole story about a loan from China, about 200 million. Let's not get into that as well. But because there's more activities, there's more airlines, there's more workers, and so there's a need to expand the airport. There are the opportunity for different companies to do that. So tourism, yes, is definitely a prime candidate for development of a country, but needs to be very careful because it's an industry that is prone to inflation. It's also an industry that is prone to all kinds of other different human trafficking and all kinds of bad stuff that can happen to it. But one reality you need to understand, like you point out, Dominican Republic, is the fact that Dominican Republic has a very diversified portfolio of industries that are producing those results. They don't just rely on tourism. They have a very strong agricultural organization, construction. They're doing a lot of different activities in outsourcing. When you call your company to fix a technical problem, sometimes somebody answered you from the Dominican Republic. And for years now, and right now, Haiti is trying to develop things like this. It's about finding what are the different opportunities. That's what my book is about. It's about how can opportunities be the cornerstone of economic development of a country where all the business activities will be supporting or meeting demand. And that's been proven to be the result. So technically, I don't think one industry is enough to solve problems of a poor country. As a matter of fact, as soon as that industry is starting to grow, you'll see the majority of people starting to migrate towards it because there's more resources there. So countries like Haiti, there needs to be at least 3 or 5 different industries that are supported, that are studied, that are receiving investment for this country to truly see the light of day in economic development. I think there was one last question.
One last one. Thank you.
There was a few more, but we'll stop there, right?
We will. Yeah. Thank you very much. I have traveled to Haiti a few times and have loved it, and I've gone mostly with a form of NGO, faith-based organizations, and partnered with a local church and hospital there. And kind of recognizing some of the things that you've said, a couple of questions just came to mind. First, in terms of NGOs and their capability to engage in that type of investment that you've discussed, there are some NGOs like, Red Cross and things like that that are large, but a lot of the nonprofit work that goes on around the world, including in Haiti, is small organizations, local churches, local nonprofits that are doing this to the side, right? So what do you anticipate their capability is to engage in this investment if they're setting aside a week or two, to partner with a local organization there? And my second question is in terms of, in the past we had always, because there weren't the resources, we picked up supplies in Dominican Republic, but over the years we've started getting them in Haiti. We've also we would spend like a day at a resort in Dominican Republic. Now we do it in Haiti.
Good.
But the challenge is
perfect.
A lot of times there's not enough. So we'll go and plan to buy, this much rice, this much beans
Yeah.
to give to kids who are malnourished. And we get there, and we run out before we can accomplish our mission.
Yeah.
So how would a small church-based or other organization kind of undertake what you're trying to do with limited resources themselves?
I think you're already doing it. Amen. You're already doing it. It's the baby steps. You know when you say the devil is in the details? Okay, if you have 100,000, it's just hypothetically, organization making a lot of small transactions, at the end of the day, it makes an impact. There's a reason why country Haiti and the rest of the developing world is the way it is. It's a lot of the different things that happen invisibly. Okay, it's the same as the invisible hand of Adam Smith. So this is exactly what we're trying to do, to re-educate all those smaller organizations that are more willing. And we have seen immediately the impact because they don't believe what they're doing matters enough. And you can't be any more wrong than that. Because no matter how small you were, the activities you're doing, if you do it the right way, it has an impact. And basically what we're trying to do is to work with organizations that are smaller, that are willing, and that have some of the resources to buy as much as they can there. And we say to them, look, even if you don't have all the quantity you have, but buy as much as possible. And sometimes the problem we encounter when we're doing that study is the fact that some NGOs come all of a sudden and say, I need that much. And of course the business is not going to have it. Even in the United States, you can run out of stock. So what we advocate and what we seen have worked is when the NGOs sit down with a business person and establish his plan as much as possible. I mean, it's very hard for you in the US to work with the businesses there, although it's become more and more possible. But if you're planning a trip for next year, so already 6 months or 3 months ahead of time, and then you can write an email or call or have your rep go there and say, we might need that much stock in that date. That gives a little bit more time and flexibility for that business to prepare and also to, while they serve you, to still serve the core customer base. Because it's about partnership. The key solution we propose, we have seen work, is partnership. And it's a different kind of partnership where you get together, and a lot of people take this the wrong way and think that we're promoting for NGOs to buy vainly more expensive stuff. We're not saying this at all. We're telling you to negotiate for every penny you have. But turn towards the business community in Haiti as much as you can. And as many, and when you can share this lesson you learn, like you just shared today, keep on doing that. Keep talking to people about what you're doing. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't see it that way. They don't believe that when they don't engage the business community there, it has a consequence. They don't know that. So I don't know if I answered the question enough, but I believe that what you're doing matter, and what you do, as small as it is having, at the end of the day, a big impact into the economy. So, and without that, we would go back to the same cycle of traditional aid, okay, that gave no result and no performance. So today it's about innovation. To innovate the way we partner and work together towards something that has proven to work, okay, to solve problems together. How NGOs can work with government and businesses so they can run themselves out of a job as much as they can.
Thank you very much. Please stick around. We have a lot of goodies here. I'm not sure exactly what we have, but I think Nathalie will be able to describe it to you. And you'll be able to ask more questions and discuss with Professor Jean-Louis. Thank you again.